So we live in a digital day and age. Our children are on the internet. They're getting loads and loads of information. The adults watching this, when you were a child, that probably didn't happen. So yes, the person that was telling you, this is what I said, and you listened, that made sense to you because you didn't have all these other voices in your head telling you all these different things. So that made sense to you. Yes, okay, yes, mommy, yes, daddy, and you went on about your way. These kids have thousands and thousands of voices in their head daily, right? And you're one competing voice against those voices. And you have to understand that, right? So what you have to do as a parent, as a person that's over these kids, you have to understand that, and you have to meet them where they're at, right? You can't say, I'm an adult, you got to listen to me. That ain't working. It's over with. Digital day and age. You're competing for your child's attention right now, right? Welcome world, welcome family to another episode of the EL2A Podcast. I'm your host, Gilmore Jr. To the right of me, we got the Heist 7 Hills, the Rattler, Mr. E-Rock. How you doing today, bro?
I'm all right, bro. How about you?
Awesome. Never better, brother. Never better. I'm excited about today, excited about this conversation today, man. So, I don't want to waste too much time. We're going to get right into it. So stop what you're doing right now. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. You all know the importance of it. It's free $99. It don't cost you anything, all right? Stop what you're doing, man. Simple. Like, ping, subscribe, check, and comment. That's the sound it makes. Other than that, Cut Different Academy coming soon. Come invest in the future. It's going to change the world. Reimagine education, man. A lot of this conversation today is about education. How do we win our babies? How do we win the youth, right? Cut Different Academy is going to have the secret recipe. So scan that QR code, right? I want you to go do it. I don't even want to tell you about it. I want you to go do some research. CutDifferentAcademy.org. Go see what we're doing and come help us invest in the future. It's going to change the world. All right. What's up, EL2A family, man? Come invest in the futures that are going to change the world. What you see here right now, man, we are reimagining education, right? We are giving these young boys and showing them who they are and where they're going. We're creating a school to career pipeline, and it's happening right here on this property, man. So let's go, EL2A family. We're going to have a QR code that pops up. You scan that code, all right? And it's going to take you and tell you everything you need to know to come help us invest in the futures that's going to change the world. Let's go. But to get into this episode, man, I'm truly excited about this episode today because what we've done, what we do, what we invested our life into is important into the youth and changing the future generation. And through the midst of doing that, we interact with so many different youth, right? We've have tested out what it takes to get the best out of youth. We tested out what does it take to change the mindset of youth. And we've done a lot of great things. And through that, we still experience different youth at different levels. Something happened yesterday. I was speaking at a school, and I don't even want to give too much on the school, but I was speaking at a school, and I'm always talking about who am I, where am I going, pushing that forward. There was one young man in particular that I was working with, and I seen his deposed. He was off. I've been to this school before, and he's usually a more upbeat young man, but he was just off. And this young man is a big dude. He's like 6'4". He's a big dude. And he was just off. And I was trying to figure it out, but off is obviously going through the session. His answers were short. He just really wasn't giving energy. His head was down the whole time. And I'm just checking him out, but I'm still trying to pull stuff through him from the session. I'm not just letting him sit there. I'll, gently check in, when I come out, what you think? I see what he says. He's still answering. And one thing about this moment in particular, the school I was at, the sessions that I do, the young men are invited into this room, right? So they don't have to be there. We go some places that they have, like, you need to go there. In this particular space, they're invited. So they choose to come, right? Sometimes they don't know who's there, who's, what they're coming into. Sometimes some walk in and say, oh, no, I don't want to do that. Or because they don't even know what's going on, but they think they have to. This young man in particular, every time I've been to the school, he's been there. And this time in particular, this is the only time that he was off beat or he was off energy like that, right? So one thing coming to mind, why are you here? You don't have to be here. If you that upset, you that mad, you that down, why did this young man choose to still be in this space right now, right? So that was what my mind was going on while I was going through it. But anywho, the session got over and everybody was leaving. I was like, hey, just fall back, let me holler at you, see what's going on with you. And soon as I got the young brother, and I'm looking at 6'4", so I'm looking up to the young man, but I'm like, what's up? Like, what's going on? Hey, be like, wow, just hit me with that, man, And I was like, man, you talk to me, man. I'm here for you. What's up? Like, what you dealing with? The first thing he just said, man, I can't do this no more. He was like, I can't do this no more. And I'm like what? What you mean? Like, he said, this life thing. So he was just mentioned like, I just can't do this no more. And, I'm private. I'm like trying to pull. I was like, what? How we get here? Like, did something happen in this room? Did something happen at home? Like, what's, so I'm going through the motion of just trying to pull stuff from him. But it comes to figure out the young brother just dealing with so much stress, right? He was dealing with the life stress, right, of having to perform and be the best he can every day in every sector of his life. His house life, his home life with his father. His mother had passed, he said, in like 2021, and his relationship with his father is not the best. He's like, when he's going home, he's like, his father's not hearing him, right? He was like, it's like his relationship is just so torn, and his father's putting so much pressure on him, but he's not hearing him out. I was like, so you try to talk to him? He was like, ain't no talking to that man. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no talking to that man. So it's just like that relationship alone where he needs the support, he's not getting it, right? And through that whole interaction with that young man, obviously there was layers to that, just so you all know that's watching. There was layers to that conversation. When I left him, I did tell the school what was going on, and we did talk to the guidance counselor, and we did put things in place just to make sure that young man was straight. I want you all to know that. But that conversation with him made me think, are we failing our kids? You know what I mean? So us as adults, us as grown people, are we failing our kids? And I think this is a tough conversation for some people, but this is a conversation that needs to be had, because some of us are not showing up for our youth like we need to, right? And when I say youth or kids, that's not just your child, that's your cousins, your auntie, your nieces, nephews, or just a kid down the block. We all have a responsibility to our youth, right? And in this episode, man, what I want to do, I want us, from our experiences, I want us to help the people, right? I want to help the people to be able to give them some advice on how we show up the best for our youth, because we're not, right? If you answer, I don't think we aren't, but I want to pass it to you, Cub. I don't know if I say Cub. But do you think adults are missing the signs, or are they choosing to ignore them? So the signs of our kids, because they all signs. I told you, young man came in there with me. I seen it, but I also was able to, through this work of doing this work so much, I also was able to think in my brain, but he's here. He don't have to be here. So even though he's showing me a sign of like something wrong, I'm like, but he's here. So he was telling me something else while telling me what he was telling me. You know what I mean? But some people can't think that deep. They would have just been like, why you here? Get out of here. Like, don't be in here with this attitude, or dismiss it. Just, he having a bad day, going about yourself. But I was able to, because of doing this work, I was able to take that in and bring him in and get the rest of it out of him. So to you, do you think adults are missing the signs or choosing to ignore them?
I say a little bit of both. And I think I say both because, one from a mentor standpoint, but also being a dad myself. So being in the school is one thing that I see. So you got teachers that have, or the school, I'm not gonna say teachers. So you got the school that have so many students, and there's so many students, and they have what they have to do. They have to meet their marks. They have to make sure that the students are testing at whatever grade level or reaching this BA assessment. Like, they got to make sure that the scores are wherever they need to be. So a lot of times I think that's the part where it's being missed, because their focus is not so much of the child. The focus is more of these scores to meet the district or the states, whatever the states want for them. And that's where it gets missed. But then we do have some people, some schools, some parents where they just totally ignore it. So, our parents only knew what they knew. So I know for the difference from parenting now than how parenting was back in the day, it's like, okay, well, back in the day, if a parent said something, that's what it was. That was law. You don't question it at all. And we know too much about that. You wouldn't challenge, if we said we felt, we would never say how we felt, because we always were, I guess, the way that we were taught, how we felt really didn't matter at that point. But this day and age changed, right? So I'll answer that question and say yes. It's a little bit of both. And I guess it just it depends on who you are. It depends on what place you're in, and it depends on where your heart is. So in that moment, your heart was in a place to actually understand that young man. Where you have some teachers you have some schools that are in the right place to understand the kids that they encounter. But then you have some schools that they're there for a check, there to meet their quota, there to do what they need to do, and pass them by.
Yeah, I want to touch on the point you're making with so even for you, so how we were raised, because that is the excuse or the reasoning for some people doing the things they do. Like, I was taught this way, or it happened to me this way. We were raised with more of a strict, like, you don't talk back, you don't got nothing to say, it's what I said and move on, right? With us having that, still some of that may still be in you, because I know it's still in me.
Right.
For yourself, do you think that the way things are done now, that kids having a voice thing is like, how do you balance the two?
So you gotta lean on God. That's about the best I can put it, man. You just gotta be able to have that spirit of discernment, knowing, like, when it's genuine and when it's like, okay, you just trying to get over it. With having Naya, so my daughter's 14 years old. I remember the first time she said, "No, Dad, you gotta listen to me, hear what I gotta say." And then in my mind, I'm like, okay. But I really had to, because I don't understand. I don't know what she's dealing with on the day to day. The way that we were brought up, the way that we were raised. I mean, it was just different. It wasn't. We didn't have to worry about as much. When it came to the things that the kids they got to worry about. Looking good at school, they trying to keep up with social media. Then they watching baddies. All these different things, and they're trying to imitate the things that they're seeing, but it's so much as a child, because now, like we said, you always said, I mean, all these things are right at their fingertips with the phones, with tablets and iPads and everything. So it's so much that these kids have to deal with. So as we now try to teach our kids the way that they should go, there's still other people that we don't even know that they're watching. Like they're scrolling on their phones, and you got other people actually teaching our kids too. So now you got other people. I was at a school yesterday, and she said it was a kid had got in, he got in a situation, and I had just seen him. And he got in a situation, and I'm talking to him, and I said, was it worth it? So he was looking down. I said, yo, was it worth it? He looked up. He said, I had to handle what I had to handle. So, and then with the staff that was there, she was like, you either going to he's learning this is learned behavior, whether it was somebody that was in the household or outside his household, but that was something that he heard from somebody else. Do I think his mom taught him that? I don't think so. But at the end of the day, it's like survival mode. So now these kids they're being taught by other people outside of our house. So again, when I say you just have to have that spirit of discernment to say, okay, is this legit, or is this, or is this just something you just trying to use as an excuse to do what you're doing? So I try to balance it. I just try to balance it the best way that I can. Yeah, man.
No, I get it. And I'm going to speak, even parents. I may have said it on here before, but parents that have you, one thing you have to understand in the past, to what Eddie was talking about. So in the past, the information you got was from your parents. So when I was a child, if my mom said something, my dad said something, that was law, right? Because I didn't have the internet to go to, really. I didn't have a phone that I can research and chat GPT to tell me the answer. So I went to my parents, and what they told me was law. In this day and age, these kids have smartphones. They have literally walking internets in their pockets where they can get on their phone and ask it a question, and it tells it. So most of the time, they're not even coming to you, right? They already think they know. So by the time they got to you and you have a conversation, they're coming from a knowledge. I'm telling you something. So the information that you give me, I already know. That's what they're gonna say. ChatGPT said, or Google said. So it's like you're defeating with these of the world. Your child is being raised by the world, right? And that's the thing you have to understand. So especially if you're a parent that opts into giving your child a smartphone or giving them these devices, now you can't come compete and try to be the big bet. Well, nah, this is what I said. This is what I told you to do. Nah, because now you are tricking this child. So you gave me this phone. You're the one that paid the bill for this phone, and I'm using this phone to do what it can do. And I get some information for myself, and now I come to you and ask you, and you telling me what I just said ain't real. First, this opens up a lot of things, right? Because first of all, you got to teach your child how to use these phones first and foremost. You have to censor what they're watching on these phones. That's another thing. And we just got to we have to take that knowledge into our head, right? So we live in a digital day and age. Our children are on the internet. They're getting loads and loads of information. The adults watching this, when you were a child, that probably didn't happen. So yes, the person that was telling you, this is what I said, and you listened, that made sense to you because you didn't have all these other voices in your head telling you all these different things. So that made sense to you. Yes, okay, yes, mommy, yes, daddy, and you went on about your way. These kids have thousands and thousands of voices in their head daily, right? And you're one competing voice against those voices. And you have to understand that, right? So what you have to do as a parent, as a person that's over these kids, you have to understand that, and you have to meet them where they're at, right? You can't say, I'm an adult, you got to listen to me. That ain't working. It's over with. Digital day and age. You're competing for your child's attention right now, right? That's what it is, and you have to understand that, right? So I just wanted to,
and even to that, because there've been times where with Naya at the same time where I'll tell her something, or she was already she heard it from, somehow she heard it, and she'll try to come tell me, and I was like, instead of, she'll be like, well, what's the answer, Dad? And I want to give her the answer, but I actually tell her, I said, well, you go to ChatGPT or you go to Google, you tell me what it says, and then now we can have this conversation because we're going to learn this together. I know I'm right, but instead of having to compete with you, I want you to go see what your sources say and to see if what your sources say and what I'm saying are the same. So now you can see that there's validity behind what I'm saying and what they say. And I think that a lot of times, again, just knowing when to do it and when to shut it down too, because there are times when it's like, okay, that's just crazy. You know what I'm saying?
And I wanted to answer, so to the point where the question I asked you, do you think adults are missing the sign or choosing to ignore them? I do agree that it's both. So one thing I do want to share though, I think some people just don't know. Like they don't know what to look for. All right. So when your child is struggling, there are some parents that just don't know what to look for. Right. And then there's the other set of parents that just don't slow down to address it. So you got one that I just don't know because I haven't even did the work to address it, what's going on with myself. Then you got the other ones that life is just life and too much, and they just don't slow down to address it, right? So both are in the wrong. You get what I'm saying? But I think those are the two boats that people are in. Like you just not slowing, like, so you see it, but you choosing to dismiss it, right? And now your child sees that you are like you don't have enough time for them, and that's creating a bigger problem, right? That's when your child is choosing to go to the streets or choosing to go to an older dude for a young lady or to whoever that's going to listen to them, right? And these are real problems that's going on. So I wanted to make sure that I brought that up. So, but what are some of the signs? So as a child, as a mentor, as a father, what are some of the signs that you're seeing, like that kids are showing that letting you know that they're struggling?
I think our kids nowadays, I think they do a good job of carrying this facade or trying to be tough, and it's crazy. So it's I think one of the biggest eye openers that we've been doing, and then we introduced the cut different, but it's like we recently just did it again. When we did these surveys, bro, what we realized is some of the kids. So it's crazy. The kids who are excelling, making good grades, behavior is pretty good, have the lowest self-esteem. And the kids who are just seem like they just getting by, they flying under the radar, where those expectations aren't there, and they don't have they don't have mom and dad on them constantly. They don't have to live up to whoever expectations. Their confidence, their self-esteem pretty high. So you gotta, I think it's for us, when we put these kids in the rooms and they come around, when they're in the environment with us, and that's what makes us different. I hate to say it. I mean, everybody say, how y'all do it? It's just different. We get in the room and we ask certain questions. Hats off to all the mentors. When you ask certain questions and something just stand out, it's like, okay, well, like you say, that one, that wasn't a normal response. Like, okay, let's dive deeper. Let's go deeper on that question that we just asked, or on that topic that we just asked, because what you just said just, was different. Is there enough time in the day for a parent to do what we do? I'll say yeah. As a parent, I know, life don't like, but at the same time, I feel like we spend enough time, whether it's in a car or out to eat or whatever the case may be. I feel like sometimes that we ask certain questions to see what really happened. And I just, it's
Yeah. And I hear you. And to piggyback on what you're thinking, I think one of the biggest things to look at when it comes to our kids to understand that this is a sign that this kid is struggling, I think is grades, man. I think so we understand it, but I think we look at it for the wrong reasons, right? So you look at the grades and you're like, well, he must don't know this subject or she must not know this subject. I think it's much deeper. Nobody wants to have bad grades, right? Nobody chooses to say, I'm just going to fail all my classes, right? Usually when that happens, that's a person that just gave up. That's a person that's not even trying, right? And when you get to that level, there's a deeper issue lying underneath, right? Your confidence is shot. You believe that nobody believes in you, so you don't care. Like there's a whole deeper underlying thing when grades are low. And I think it's bigger than I just don't know what to do. I'm choosing not to do. And I think that's a scary thing. So I think grades is a big thing that you got to look at. And obviously another thing is when you get those kids that choose not to talk to you, like they're using shorter answers and they're choosing not to go into a dialogue with you. I feel like that's a sign that like it's something deeper. For example, the one young man, I was about to say, I don't want to share anybody's name, but we just got a new mentee in our organization, and you could tell his home life is like, because any communication with him, it comes off, it's almost awkward for him. You know what I mean? You look him in the eyes like he try to look the other way. You know what I mean? Or you have like he touching himself, he can't. So it's like something's there, you know what I mean? So I think that it's those type of things you have to look at when it comes to struggling. And a lot of us always trying to look at the bad kids, right? You get the kids that's always getting referrals and all those different things, which is some of those kids, they just do what they, they're gonna be what they be. But some of it's the class, like you just said, what'd you say? The kids with the good grades, you said they had, you said they had what?
It seemed like theirs was their self-esteem or their confidence were a little lower. So I even go even deeper. So you remember the survey with Q. Mm-hmm. So Q is my son. He's 9 years old. So the survey with Q, when I was like, he just answered it too fast. Well, I went digging. With Rory, I went through the folder, and I found one that was done prior to me. I compared them like, oh yeah, this was different. But as I started, I'm like, oh, snap. Mm-hmm. It's the same. So it wasn't just in that moment. Mm-hmm. But what I was able to do, and so when I say the expectations or basically the expectations of what we look for or us as a family executing at a high level, maybe that could be the reason why, okay, I'm doing everything I got to do, but it's still something like, no, dad, mom, there's something, I do feel some type of way that we never asked because the grades are amazing. Mm-hmm. The behavior is amazing. So I ended up asking, I'm like, so the question was, do you feel useless? And this is the part where you have to understand. That's where the understanding part come in. And that's why I say when the schools, there's not enough time in the day for the schools because of everything that they have to do where they're not able to do what I was able to do. So I told his mom, she started crying. She was going hysterical. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't think it may not be that deep. It may not be what we actually thinking. So I pull him in. So I take the third one in there. I asked him questions. I say, do you feel useless? He said, they're thinking. He was like, I do. I said, what you mean you do? Now my heart dropped because it's like, all right, why you feel useless? But then he was like, well, because I try to give kids he was like, when I try to help some of the kids, he said, one of the smartest kids. So when I try to give the kids the answers in class, they tell me to shut up and I think that I'm a know-it-all. So now in a 9-year-old's mind, I feel useless because I'm trying to help you and you don't want to take this help that I'm giving you. Mm-hmm. So now there's no point in me trying to help you no more. So now I feel useless. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I told him in that moment, I said, don't change it. I had to go back and tell his mom, I said, oh, I understand it now. Mm-hmm. His useless is different than what we see, we really know what useless is. Mm-hmm. So again, that's where the time in the day is not there for somebody or the parents that don't care. Yeah. They don't have that time to actually sit down and dig deep to say, okay, why do you feel this way? They would have just went off, of what my son, he feels this way because his dad not there, his mom not there, da. But no, it was taking that time to say, okay, all right, this is what it really is. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where that kind of separates the two and really understanding what the kids.
Yeah, I think that's the tricky part about them surveys too. When you think about when we're such in a data-driven world, that data can be misconstrued. You know what I mean? It can be looked at so differently in a situation like that. It could have been painted a whole different way. So I think that's a great feedback. But I do want to ask you, so why don't our youth feel comfortable open up to adults in their lives? So why do a lot of our youth like struggle with that, or they don't feel like it?
I think it's been judgmental. just being judged, man. I feel like they think what they think, they feel how they feel, and they feel. I mean, if we're trying to teach them one way, we're trying to show them a certain way, and they feel differently about it. Then they feel like they may be hurting us, or they may feel again that we're judging them. Well, why you feel like that? Why you think that way? And I feel like it's easy for them to keep it to themselves.
Yeah. And I think so. If your child, any youth around you, don't feel comfortable. I hate what So if your child or if your child or any youth around you doesn't feel comfortable coming to talk to you, it's because they just don't feel safe.
Yeah.
They don't feel safe. Again, you feel judged, they feel dismissed, they feel like you are not the safe person to talk to. And that's what runs kids to do something wrong, right? That's what runs kids to the streets, and that's what runs kids to get in stuff they ain't got no business going to, because usually the negative factors of life make you feel safe. They make you feel good about yourself. So the kids go run into those things to make them feel what they want to, feel safe. When you think about a little baby, when the kids, and this is the thing we got to think about. I was thinking about this one day. When a child comes out, right, the mommy, daddy, like at a young age, they can have the most unfit parents, but they mommy, daddy to the T.
Mm-hmm.
But when them kids start getting to where they understand what's really going on, the truth come out, right? Because they ain't gonna deal with you. They not gonna talk to you. And that's the truth. Especially if you're a mom and you're a dad. If your child is not talking to you, right, there's something wrong with you. I don't care what nobody say. There's something you have to figure out. Because there was one part of that child's life where you were the superheroes of their life, and you turned from a superhero to a villain. That's on you. You have to go figure that out, right? So I think that's one of the things we have to really look at ourselves, like, what did I do? What's going wrong? So I think it's a lot of what you're saying there, not feeling safe and just uncomfortable, and that's a key part. So how much of a child not opening up is actually on the adult? So it's kind of what I just answered, but how much of it is on adults?
That's a tough one, and only because, again, if I know for Nia, she gonna hit you before, like, if something happened at school, she may hit you before she hit me, and tell okay, I'm telling her, well, did you talk to somebody about it? Yeah, I text Uncle Jake. Well, when you do that, why you tell me? But it's because she feels comfortable with telling certain people, or we put her in an environment, or she have her safe zones, and I'll say that's another thing, because if a parent, if I'm okay with her contacting you, contacting her mom, or like somebody in Gigi, granted, I don't care. That's what they're there for. You don't feel like you can talk to me, as long as you go to somebody else within our circle to get the consultation that you need. I'm good. We're gonna talk about it. I know you gonna tell me, my mom gonna call and tell me what's going on. So now I know what to. Hey, Eddie, don't talk to her like that, or don't say it this way. Said, for me to be able to get through and actually get on the topic of whatever she wanted to discuss. But I feel like we have to surround our kids with that type of support. That's the word. Like, we gotta make sure that they're supported, whether it's from us or from somebody else. And that's the beauty of Cut Different. With every different background, that the men that we had around, there was always something that if a kid felt out of place because he wasn't athletic, okay, well, he's gonna go. He's not gonna go to the most athletic mentor. He's gonna go to the mentor that he probably feels is least athletic. Yeah. But it's okay, because that's what they're there for.
Yeah, and that's a great point. So I'm gonna go back to come back forward, but that's the point I was gonna make up on the other conversation. So even who you are to this organization, you call yourself the favorite mentor. You know how that opened up? The favorite mentor opened up because your relationship with DeMarcus. During that relationship with your DeMarcus was a cool kid here, and you opened up and you had a great relationship with him, and through that relationship, he'll go back and tell everybody else about y'all connection. Now that made everybody else feel safe about you, right? So that whole open up connectedness is like, now everybody, Mr. Eddie, cool, I can come talk to him, right? So now, you know what I mean? So I think that opens up, but I think to that point, I think I want to say it's adult fault, but I think so. Kids open up where they feel understood, right? They don't open up where they feel evaluated. So if your kid or a child is not coming to you, it's most of the time because they don't think you're going to understand, that you're going to evaluate. Like, this is going to be one of those back and forth, and you're going to talk louder than me, and you're going to tell me that I can't say nothing because I'm the child, and then you're going to overtalk me, and you're going to just keep giving me information, and I never be able to tell you. Like, I came to you, like, now you trying to tell me, you know what I mean? So I think, so again, kids open up to where they're understood and not where they feel evaluated. And I even want to piggyback on that to ask you, for your situation, like you say, now you may come to me. So as a parent, do you think she may feel you don't understand her, or in any other situation?
No. I think it's more so with Naya. I think it's just more so. Her biggest thing is not wanting to. What's the word?
Chastise.
No. Not wanting to let me down. You know, it's a word for. I'm trying to think, but disappoint. She doesn't want to disappoint me. So again, and she may. The way that she may bring it to me in that moment, I may not understand in that moment, but after talking it out or after hearing it from, it's like, okay, well, yeah, you're right. The way that I may have my initial approach to it may not have been the best way to approach the situation that she brought to me. So a lot of times she'll tiptoe around letting me know, because there's many times where she done tell you something, and then she'll come back and be like, well, I already talked to Uncle Jay about it anyway. Why are you telling me? You already talked to him. But that's her way of letting me know that she's already talked to somebody. For like to say, well, this is what I'm dealing with, but I already talked to somebody about it, for me to say, okay, well, if you already talked to somebody about it, like to make me feel more at ease. So I think that's most of what it is, just not wanting to disappoint.
Yeah, I think this is the cool part about the village mentality. So for the parents or for the adults that are watching, you have to understand what your village are, and you have to open your child up to that, to the same thing that he's talking. Like, his child does have the luxury of being able to come to talk to me. So who is that for your child? And to your point, I think there are, everybody has a responsibility, right? So as a parent, there's a conversation as a parent, my child should be willing to have it with me, and they may not have the same conversation with their uncle, or they like. I truly believe in that, right? I believe a child, it's a parent role, right? Not the friend. And there's just a level of responsibility that it comes when you carry the title of mom, dad. Uncle and auntie may be a little loose. I may want to go over there and have a different conversation with you. That's just how I feel, right? So when it comes to me, she is having, because I ain't gonna beat her. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm gonna have a hard conversation with her, but I ain't gonna beat her.
Yeah.
And you might beat her. You know what I mean? So that's a different level of conversation that we gonna have, and I think but that's important for her in her development. And I think for all kids, you should have that person that you can go to, and maybe a little more loose conversation. But at the end of the day, everybody's there for the best of the child, and I think that's important. So as a parent, I say that open your child up to that, to a network of people that you trust, that they can call. It may, and you feel okay, just like he said, she's calling me, cool. Like, who is your child able to call outside of you? Because you may not be able to handle all the level of conversations that your child can bring to you, but you have to assess that. So they're coming to you with so much, and you can't handle it. Now they don't even want to talk to you because you've been dismissing them, pushing them off, or you're over talking them, or you're giving them too much information. It turns into a lecture. If somebody else can hold some of that weight for you, and they may go call them, they come to you when they need it, I think that's the best recipes for success for the adults.
So real quick, with that is, I'm always make sure I tell them, man, y'all better call your uncles. You know what I'm saying? I'm making it okay for them to do it, because if I was to shut that down, I don't think they'll do it, because they're more worried about how I'm gonna respond to it. So that's one thing. And the second thing too is that, just for another example, is when she's 6th, 7th grade, when she started getting into boys, you know what I'm saying? So when the boys talk became a thing, she didn't come to me, but again, she didn't want to disappoint. So who she go to? She go to Kimyata, or she'll go to Gigi. These are women. She feels okay with going to the women to talk about boys. So now they have to come back and say, all right, Eddie, look, I know, you know, this is your baby, but this is the thing, you know what I'm saying? So now the approach, the way that you converse, or the dialogue has to be different.
So yeah, I like it. But so what are some things, and this is where we're getting to the giving the game back. But what are some, and we've been doing that the whole time, but what are some things that parents or adults are doing that make kids shut down without realizing it? So what are some things that you heard through your mentor, some of the things that these kids is coming in, my mom is doing this and I ain't feeling it, and but they're doing it probably in their mind, being trying to be a good parent, but it's making their kids shut down.
I would say not understanding, but I guess not understanding to a child, not understanding is you not listening. You're not taking that time to actually hear what they have to say. A lot of times there's a lot of value in that, because these kids say certain things. It's like, again, you have these conversations, it's like, oh wait, he just actually said this. Hey, Roy, you heard what he just said? So now we got to go dig deeper into, hey, we got to go talk to him about such and such because we heard him throw that piece in there as if that wasn't anything big.
Yeah, yeah, I think the biggest thing on that I think parents are trying to fix it too fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you try to get out the answer too fast. Your kid come to you with a problem, and you try to make it a simple fix, and everything's not a simple fix. Sometimes you got to sit and listen, and then once they're talking to you, then it turns into a lecture. Now you're lecturing them. Let them talk. Let them lecture you. Let them give you the what's going on in their head and their world, and you just sit back and listen, right? And then after they done, make sure they done. Then you come back and give them some, whatever you said, and make it quick. Don't make it a lecture, right? So I think the problem with parents is, right, you're trying to fix the problem too fast. So your kids come to you with a problem, you try to give them an easy fix. Here, do this. That's not how they want you to listen. They want you to understand fully understand where they're coming from, hear them, right? And then give them a little quick solution to, if I was you, this is what I would do. You know what I mean? When I dealt with that, when I was your age, this is how I went about this. Not go do this. You just, just the lecture thing. And because No, I don't want to hear all that, man. So you got to bring the relatability in it and make sure they're understanding that you was once a kid too. And that's some of the time they don't understand that. They see it as your current state, but you got to let them know I was a kid too. I did some foolishness too. You know what I mean? I did some crazy stuff too. And I think that'll help you out as a parent, as an adult, that's dealing with some youth. So next question I got for you: what do kids actually need from us that we're not giving them? So as adults around the world, the parents around the world, what are some things that the kids are looking for from us that we're not giving?
Yeah, that time. And I know it sounds crazy, but that time to have, we call it table talk. I mean, just have a conversation, just leave that space in there, that time in there, that opportunity in there for us let's just talk. I think when, like you say, being able to have that time allotted just to, like, what you got going on at school, like that'd be the big thing too. But when hey, you had a good day, yeah, leave it at that. Nah, we actually talk. So what happened? Who did what, and like actually showing that you you actually care about their day. I think that opened up a lot of dialogue there.
So I think for that one, I was trying to remember the question actually, but for that one, I think what we're not giving them is our best self. I think a lot of parents are not doing the work themselves, right? So you got parents that are still hurting, parents that are still got some self-improvement to do, but life threw us a wrench and we start having kids, and life just been lifing ever since. But we never stopped to do the self-work to improve ourselves to be best for our kids. So sometimes you are trying to create kids and put them in better situations than what you have, but you don't have nothing to give them. Like, what are you giving them? You're giving them, you're operating out of the lack of what you had. So that's all you can give them because you've never been given any other different thing. So now it's time for you to just stop and improve yourself, make yourself better, do the self-work. Who am I? Where am I going? All right, get the recipes for success and figure that out for you. And I think that's going to help you be better. So showing up better for your kids, that's going to stop you from interrupting that kid. That's going to help you better understanding that kid. How can I understand you if I don't understand myself? So parents, how can you understand your child if you don't understand yourself? Right? How can you be best for your child if you're not being the best for yourself? You're still making the mistakes. And we all make mistakes, but you're still out here just still operating in your old self or not through the lens of doing self-improvement, personal development work and making yourself better. So again, I think in order to make your child better, you got to make yourself better, right? So help you help them. So I think that's for me. But practically, man, to kind of as we get on the back end on the conversation, what does a real conversation with a child look like? Not just you good. And this is what I want. So for our parents, like, how do I talk to my child? You just made a good example, right? So you pick your child up for school. How was school? Good. If you know what I mean? But that was because of the question you asked, right? If you would asked a better question, you would have got a better answer. So how can our kids or how can adults have a better conversation with the kids?
Yeah, I just try to find, so even with this, because they spend most of their time at the school when they're away from us anyway. So I just try to find out, I still ask about school, how it was your day, but I try to ask something geared towards like something I hear that she talk about, whether it's her friends, what's the drama today? You know what I'm saying? Again, I know drama, we all think that it could be crazy, but their drama could be way, on a smaller scale than what we think drama is. And then now I'm showing I'm actually engaged. And now when she telling me, oh, he had this on, or he kissed another girl, and it's like, was his girlfriend there? I mean, was it, you know what I'm saying? But I'm engaging in that conversation, so now she can feel more open with discussing stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that work, and that's with, with Q as well. We just let's try to be creative with the questions that we ask, man.
Yeah, no, I like it. So for me, parents, lean in, right? I got a secret for you. So if you want to help your child, right? So if you want to be a better communicator with your child, you want to have a better conversation with your child, do this simple thing right here. All right. So when you pick your child up from school, ask them from scale of 1 to 10, how you feel? How was your day? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. And they got to tell you why. And say, and tell me why. So when they say 5, you got to say why. Well, they're going to say 5 because Miss Sue did X, Y, Z. I ain't really like that. Or my friend, or they're going to say 10 because I just had a wonderful day. And then they're going to proceed to tell you why the day was beautiful. That's the first step to open them up. And then after that, what was the highlight of your day? Like, what's the best thing that happened to you today? And then they're going to tell you why. Then after that, follow up, what was the low? Like, what was the worst thing that happened to you today? Then they're going to follow up and tell you that. But through just those 3 questions right there, right? You're going to open up a conversation that's going to carry you from the drive home till you get into the house. But your kid is going to get used to just opening up to you and just talking because you care. If you're just asking the kid, how was your day today? Good. It was all right. And you're going to get the simple answers because you're not really trying to uncover what they really got going on. You're just answering the little questions. And another hint, never you be on your phones. Me personally, I am intentional, right? One thing that I do not do, all right? When I'm picking Caden up, I never have my phone in my hand. I never have my phone in my hand, and I'm never going to be on the phone talking as I'm picking him up or as we're in the car. I never do that. And we even at my home, like my family, we do that. You can't walk in the house on the phone, right? If you're on the phone, just stay outside until you finish the conversation, then come in. But that's just a distraction to what you're doing, right? So you got to be intentional. If you really want the best of people, be intentional, right? When I'm walking into the house and I'm greeting you and I ain't seen you all day and I'm on the phone, you're like, right, it's not important. I'm going to finish this conversation outside. And then when I walk in, you're going to have all my attention and we're going to have a conversation. And I think that's vitally important. Cut all the distractions so you actually can talk to your children, all right? So that's another one. But how do you check on a child without making them feel pressured or judged? So how do you check on a child without making them feel pressured or judged?
I mean, that's probably about the mental health check. That's probably a good way. But I mean, I'm not gonna say I have asked them, how they did was 1 to 10. Most of the time, like, you good? You sure? And just try to. I mean, I look to listen for any like something out of the ordinary, something unlike them.
Yeah,
try to find. That's about it.
Yeah, and I think it's vulnerability and relatability. So finding a way to be vulnerable. Like if I'm checking on you and I don't want you to feel pressure, you got something going on, I'm gonna be vulnerable myself. I'm gonna open up a layer of me, something you may not know. Well, I'm gonna bring up something like, man, what I may be going through too, right? So I'm gonna even the playing field. It made me think about I just spoke over at with the United Way here the other day, and I understand the level of that room that I was in, the people, right? You are actually in this course because you want to better yourself, right? You may not be in the best situation, but you're committed to bettering yourself. This class starts at 6 o'clock at night, so it's evening. You went to work, did what all you did all day, and it's a lot that going on. So the first thing I did when I got in, I said, man, I'm tired, man. I'm tired. Like, you know what I mean? Because I know they tired, and I'm tired too. So, man, I'm tired. It was something like that. I opened up in that fashion, but I wanted them to know we on the same. Like, just because I'm talking to y'all, don't mean I'm no better than y'all. I'm tired too. I got a 6-month-year-old at the crib, man. Pray for me, y'all. I said something like that, but that's my real life. But I gave that to them. They see you because I got this suit on, and they see me as like I just got it all going on. I'm tired too, bro. Yeah. I'm just making it happen, but I'm tired, So for the kid, it's the same thing. How can I let them see just because I'm an adult on the older person, I ain't got it all figured out either. So I'm gonna be vulnerable with you. I'm gonna let you know I'm trying to figure it out. I struggle with things too. And then the relatability too. Like I was a child too. I've been where you were before too. I've had I've had that happen to me too, and tell them about it, right? I think that's the best way to get them open up so they understand. So I think that's how you got to do it. So tips, man, make sure y'all got your pens and pads out and write these notes down. All right. And when has been a moment when you realized you needed to show up differently? Like when you showed up and you like, all right, I probably ain't did this the right. I haven't been doing this the right, even as a father or a mentor. Like I haven't been doing this the right way. Like I may need to change something.
I shared that before when I would pick Nay up. Nay is my second youngest daughter. I'm picking her up from school, and I will be on the phone, or as I'm picking up, I'll be on the phone, and I realized that, you know, in that moment of me, you know, getting it from a mom or from school, I wasn't in the engaging with her. So I completely changed it up now. So whenever if I pick her up from school, our conversation is different. Like, let's talk first. Now, until I see you getting bored with me, then that's different. But you know, I make sure that I give her my attention, and then just even with all my kids, it's gotten to a point where it's like, okay, maybe my approach. And that's one of the biggest things, you know, you're approaching, maybe I approached the situation wrong, you know, and I look to change that, you know.
Yeah, I think for mine, obviously, I should say obviously, but the people here know that more kids think of me as more so like disciplinarian. So sometimes because they expect that from me, right, I try to be more light, you know, and so no matter what the situation is, but I may try to be more light. But I think the knowledge of understanding, because I am who I am, right? And I bring to this team what I bring to this team. So I have to be me. But in the light of that doesn't mean I have to show up like that every time. So I did think that I had to be that every time. Like every situation deserved that response of me, the disciplinarian, right? And that's something I had to show up and like understand that I don't have to do that. Every situation don't have to do that. Like one young man may do something wrong, and he don't need that force that I may give everybody else. He may need me to come in and be gentle with him. And that's what I had to understand. So being more aware of what's going on in the situation. And parents, I need to think y'all, or adults, y'all need to understand it's not one size fits all. It's not one fix all thing. It's like you have to really understand what's going on so you can know how to best show up for these kids. Because just because you are a tough parent, or you're an aggressive parent, or you're a nice parent, you can't be nice all the time. Right? And you can't be mean all the time, right? So there's different layers, but you have to understand. And yes, that may be asking a lot, but you have been gifted. If you're a parent, if you're a mother or father, you have been gifted the greatest responsibility of all time. You have been gifted, right? You have been blessed by God with the greatest responsibility of all time, and you have to figure it out, right? You have to understand your child. You have to know what gets your child going, and you have to understand when your child is up, and you have to understand when they're down. And you have to be that person, right? You have to be that person that helps them no matter how it goes. You have to be that one voice for that child, right? That they understand no matter what happens, he or she's going to be there. And they know it. And they're going to come to you no matter what. That's the job of a parent. And you have to make sure you're doing that. So make sure we're figuring that out. And then one thing I wanted to get to is like the secret of communication for you. Like what's the secret to communicating with you? Like if there's one secret nugget that you can give to people when it comes to communicating youth, what would it be?
I talk trash.
Yeah.
I start talking trash. They start talking trash. Then all right, you know, I feel like that's the icebreaker. You know what I'm saying? That worked for me.
Yeah. I think for me, that is right. And talking to them and not at them. You know what I mean? Having a conversation with them and not talking at them. I think that's the secret of communication. So many times we talking in our language, right? We talking how we talk, and that's why knowing the room is important. When I just talked about the story, when I was in that room, I talked at their level. I talked to them. And I think so many people are talking at our youth, like telling them what they should do, what they need, and all these different things. No, talk to them, have a conversation with them, because they understand these kids are growing up fast. I mean, these are some very educated, very smart kids. So I think the secret is just understanding that I have to talk to them at their level, right? That even goes back to, that's jumping back, but even when we think about the coffee bean story, right? He's talking to them. They understand it. I can understand the coffee bean spreads and all that. Like he's talking their language. So if in clear communication and effective communication, you have to talk the language of the person. That's like me talking Spanish or talking English to a Spanish person that doesn't understand English. Like it's not effective. You have to be effective. So talking to the kids. So, what should an adult do if they notice something is off, but the child won't open up?
Yep. Just find somebody else. If from your support, you know, that kid's support. See if they got somebody else that they can, you know, talk to.
Yeah. I think it's staying consistent. I think it's not forcing it, right? So don't force it. Don't try to like force them to open up, but it's staying consistent, right? So don't beat the drum, but don't disappear. Just keep poking at it. It may not be the day, but let them know you still care. Hey, you ready to talk about this? Hey, what's going on? Can I do anything to help you? I'm always here for you. Just let me know. Come in, sit down, lay across the bed and talk about anything. Talk about something totally different, and y'all may get there, right? But don't force the answer to come out right then and there, right? Take your time with making sure that they understand that you're there. So I think that's what you got to do. So take your time and don't force it. So another question I got for you, how do you balance discipline and understanding? I think this is a good one, right? So if the good one for the people, right? How do you balance discipline and understanding when you're working with the youth or talking to the youth?
Depending on the situation, again, you have to again have discernment, man. Because I mean, every situation doesn't warrant discipline. So sometimes it's just you need to explain it, you know, giving advice, giving your story and how you dealt with it, and this what worked. This is how it turned out for me, and I don't want it to turn out that way for you. So you might want to look at it doing a different way. I know one thing that we do is when we mentor the boys, we always say we're not going to tell you what to do. We'll tell you what you can, what you should, or what you can do. Mm-hmm. And that choice is up to you at that point.
Yeah. No, I think that's vitally important. And piggyback what he said, just simple. You got to have both, right? You can't have one without the other one. So the understanding, when they feel you understanding, they open up. But you got to have, if you have too much understanding with no discipline, it's going to end up, you raising a spoiled brat. You raising a child that don't understand and what it's feel when they feel like everybody owed them something, what the word is, exceeded, is exceeded, not whatever it is, arrogant child. And that's not good, right? So, but the discipline part of it, right, it has to be there, because with too much discipline with no understanding, now you got a child that don't want to talk to you, right? You got a child that's running away. So it's finding the healthy balance, but the two have to exist. In a relationship from an adult to a child, there has to be understanding and there has to be discipline. Can't be one or the other. It has to be both. In order for it to be a healthy relationship between an adult and a child, there has to be discipline and there has to be understanding, and they have to balance it out really well. And if you can do those two things, there's going to be a healthy relationship. So we got to make sure we're doing those things. But my last question, my brother, to wrap it up, man. And again, I hope y'all been taking this game in and writing down on your pencil, man. This is really stuff that's vitally important to me. That's why I wrote these questions down, because we want to give game. We want to give you so much game and advice, man, so y'all can take it away. And I think if you do what we've talked about so far, it's going to help you. But the last thing I do want to talk about is, what's the first thing someone should change if they realize they haven't been showing up the right way? So if you realize you haven't been showing up the right way for your child, what should you do first to make sure you start getting it right?
You change your mindset. That's about it, because that's really why things hadn't been going the way that it should have been going, the way that you think. So you got to change the way that you see that situation, or see. I always try to feel like I try to feel for my kids. How they feel in that moment. Yeah. When I'm riding in the car and I'm not paying attention to pick you up. If you ain't seen dad all weekend, then now you get in the car and so I try to put myself in there and that shoe and say, how do you feel? So I changed the way that I thought about that interaction when we're in the car together, and that ultimately helped change the way that we ride in the car when I pick her up.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you three things: slow down, pay attention, and be intentional. So slow down, pay attention, and be intentional, right? So if you've been, your child's been talking back to you and you get to this understanding, if you to understanding like you feel like, I just haven't been doing this thing right, like I need to do something different, the first thing you do is slow down, pay attention, and be intentional, right? So through slowing down, you're going to see the things you've been missing, right? You're going to see the deficits when you slow down. And then when you start paying attention, you like, oh man, I didn't know that was happening. And then now you have to be intentional to make sure that you're doing what you need to do to make sure you get it right. So slow down, pay attention, be intentional. Man, great conversation. But what's at stake, bro? So what's at stake? Everything we just talked about, what's at stake if we don't get this right? Like if adults don't get this relationship thing right with our kids, with our youth, and they keep pushing them away, what's at stake?
ChatGPT gonna be running the world.
Yeah. For real though, you got to get it right. I think it's important. If we're not taking this thing serious, like we're gonna get a lot of our youth, rebellious youth, a lot of our youth that are thinking they got it figured out, and they are being misled. Like a lot of the information that they are getting, they are being misled. There are some truth to some things, but there's a lot of companies, there's a lot of things that are just playing on the minds of our youth through algorithms, through all these different things. So if we as parents aren't there to play our position, play our roles, a lot of our youth going to continue to be tricked out the streets, for lack of better words. They're going to be tricked out of their position and thinking everything that glitter is gold when everything glitter ain't gold. And they're going to start chasing these false realities, and they're going to continue to be lost. The more lost youth we have, the more not future leaders of the world we have. So then who's going to lead us in the world? So I think if we don't do nothing about this, our world's going to be in a terrible place, right? So I hope y'all take this advice and make sure we stepping up. But man, I'm about to say give you some words of courage, but nah, man, good episode, man. I appreciate y'all. I wanted to get right to it, and I wanted to make sure that we gave game on this episode. I told y'all the thing that happened to me, and again, we addressed it. We addressed that issue, and I'm still working with the young man. I'm gonna reach out to his coach and different things to make sure that he has the support he needs. But that's just one. That's what I want. That was just one out of thousands of young men here in the city that I'm in the county I'm in, and all the counties across this world. That was just one that I was able to come in contact with, experience that. Imagine how many other of our young people feel that same way. Imagine that. Imagine how many young people feel the same way. And you as a parent, you as an adult, you as an uncle, you as an auntie, you as a grandparent, wherever you are, you could be that voice, right? That helps. You could be that voice that makes this child not feel that. You could be that relationship that changes how they feel about themselves, right? So it's vitally important. And your role is important in making sure we get this thing right. So I definitely appreciate y'all watching this episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Anything you'll take away from this episode, right? So as a parent, as an adult, what do you take away this episode, and how are you going to move forward to make sure that you're being better? And if there's any questions, man, EL2A Podcast at gmail.com. Get in contact with us. We want to be a resource for you. We're going to make sure that we're communicating, doing whatever we need to do. So I know that's going to be put up there so you can see it. So EL2A Podcast at gmail.com. We're going to make sure we tapping in with you, right? So anything we can do to be there for you, to help you grow as a parent, grow as an adult, or just a leader in your community, in your environment, we'll be here for you. So other than that, man, you got anything else before we wrap it up, my brother?
I'm a babies, man.
Yeah. Give some words of encouragement as we wrap up. Just words of encouragement to the adults, because somebody may watch this and feel, oh, that's heavy, that's too much, that's a lot. So just words of encouragement for the adults watching.
Your words matter. Your words do matter to the kids, to the youth. And trust me, they can feel the purity in what you say, and your demeanor, your behavior, and they can feel it. And if you mean what you say, they'll understand, and they in return will they'll show it. And we don't end it like that, man. We'll see y'all next week.